Kawasaki's brand new little lightweight cruiser that is gunning for top spot in the class, the Eliminator, up against the tried and true staple from Honda, which has seen countless people begin their motorcycling journeys on, the CMX or Rebel 500. If you're a first-time rider looking for a sportier cruiser to learn on and grow with, then these two are holding the top spots, being impossible to ignore, and today we are putting them head-to-head in one epic showdown. G'day, I'm Kwackajack, and welcome to another episode of the Versus series. This is where we put two very similar bikes that you may be looking to choose between under the magnifying glass for a specs comparison and really get down to the nitty-gritty to find out what the differences are and who comes out on top. We'll be analysing the styling, claimed engine and power specs, exhaust notes, weight, suspension and ergos, brakes, fuel economy, features and price to see where they stack up and who takes the crown as best sporty beginner cruiser. Before we get started though, if you do enjoy these types of comparisons, please make sure to leave a like and hit subscribe so others who might be having the same questions can find their answers too. Alright, let's get straight into it and have a look at the styling. Kawasaki's Eliminator is an all-new bike for 2024, coming in with two models, the Standard and SE. It isn't actually the first time we've seen that Eliminator name though, with the first one coming out all the way back in 1985, and it having other iterations through the years. This new one has a low, sleek and simple design that is the more modern looking of the two, although it does have some references back to the previous models in places like the headlight and rear tail. I am personally a fan of this styling and think the SE with that orange colour scheme is a real head turner in person. The Honda Rebel 500 on the other hand has been around for a while now, having its last update back in 2020 and it is due for another one soon. There's also two models available here too, with the Standard and S. It has got more of a contemporary bobber style to it, with a low rear slung seat and high front end, giving it a distinctive look on the road. I think it's reminiscent of a Harley Davidson Sportster, and for people coming into motorcycling could be very appealing. Of course, who wins here is subjective and down to personal preference, with both being attractive in their own way. In my opinion, the Rebel is the more traditional cruiser looking bike, but I prefer the design language of the Eliminator, especially in the SE's orange trim. On to the engines. These guys are both A2 or learner approved motorcycles, so they are capped with how much power they can make. Kawasaki has endowed their new offering with the same 451cc 4-stroke parallel twin engine that can be found in the Ninja and Z500s. Here in Oz, that motor produces a claimed 44.8 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 42.6 Nm of torque at 6,000. Those numbers should allow this bike to hit 0 to 100 Ks in around 5.5 seconds and have a great mid-range with satisfying low-end grunt. This is going to be one of the sportier feeling bikes in the range for a few reasons, and the engine is definitely one of them. The Honda, on the other hand, has a slightly larger 471cc liquid-cooled inline 2-cylinder, which is taken from the CBR 500. It has been remapped here to focus more on lower down torque and bottom end power, and is now pumping out 45 horsepower at 8,500 RPM and 43.3 Nm of torque at 6,000. That should mean it hits 0 to 100 in under 6 seconds and have a punchy feel to it. This is meant to be quite a smooth revving motor, with no noticeable vibes throughout the range, which may be appreciated while doing longer trips. So who wins here? Well, if we are going purely by numbers, the Honda does produce ever so slightly more torque from its larger capacity engine. It'll also be the smoother of the two, as the Kawi is noted to be a bit more vibey higher up in the rev range. If we're talking real world performance though, the Eliminator will get off the line and reach 100 Ks faster, so will probably feel like the quicker and sportier of the two. And that's in big part down to the next category, which is weight. But before we go there, let's have a quick listen to the stock exhausts. While they make pretty much the same power, there is more to the story, and a substantial difference in how much heft those motors have to move. The new Eliminator is a featherweight when it comes to cruisers, coming in at only 176 kilograms wet, sitting on the road. That may very well make it the lightest in the class, and it will have a big impact helping it in multiple areas. The Rebel, while still comparably light for a cruiser, is 14 kilos heavier, sitting at 190 kilos fully fueled. Part of that is down to the larger overall engine size size, but still, it's an 8% increase in weight over the competitor, and means that in this area, the Kawasaki is the clear winner. The overall lightness of both these machines though should help add to the usability, with each being very maneuverable while stationary and easy to live with. And that leads us on to suspension and ergonomics. We know these guys are both light, have torquey engines, and are marketed as being sporty beginner cruisers. So do they have the parts to match the claims? Well, the Eliminator at the front has got 41mm telescopic forks with 120mm of travel, while at the back are twin shocks with 90mm. You are going to be on a low 735mm seat that places you in a relaxed, upright riding position with mid-mounted pegs to make it feel like a more satisfyingly normal place to be. You've also got their ErgoFit design, which gives you more flexibility and allow you to find a more comfortable setup if you're a taller or shorter rider. And it is overall more neutral than you'd find on the bigger Vulcan. This is going to be a very approachable and unintimidating experience for new riders and should be a fantastic and easy commuter bike. The Honda, for its suspension, also has 41mm telescopic forks with 121mm of travel up front and twin shocks with 95mm of travel at the back. The seat is even lower at only 690mm, and you're again placed in a neutral riding position with mid-mounted pegs. As mentioned, this bike is going more for that bobber style, being low at the back, tall at the front, and your arms are going to be gently outstretched towards the bars. Reviewers claim the Rebel feels capable and comfortable on the road though, with only the larger bumps giving you a jolt. Both of these motorcycles should handle well, and the ride and handling are on the upper end of what you can get in this category. Ground clearance won't be enormous, but these bikes aren't designed for fast lap times or carving corners like a sports bike. The lightness of the Kawi will help with stationary and slow speed handling, while the Rebel does have more travel through the rear end and be more comfortable with less vibrations. Both should be easy enough to flick around when taken to a twistier spot though, so at this stage we'll call it a tie. As for brakes, up front on the Kawi you've got a single 310mm disc with dual piston calipers, while at the rear is a single 240mm with dual piston caliper. They are meant to have a fair bit of bite to them, and along with the low weight and ABS that comes as standard, should mean that you have adequate and confident stopping power. The Rebel on the other hand does have a smaller 296mm disc with two piston caliper at the front and single 240mm disc with single piston caliper at the back. While it does have ABS, the braking here is nothing to write home about, and people have complained about a lack of stopping power, especially from the rear end. So it is a win to the Kawi in this category. Now let's talk about fuel economy. If you're looking at getting one of these cruisers, you may be considering using it as an everyday commuter, and it makes sense. They are easy to ride on flat foot and are comfortable enough. But how far can you go before having to fuel up? Well, the new Eliminator comes with a 13-litre fuel tank, and they have claimed usage of 31.5 kilometers per litre. Now, quick note here. Those usage stats are from the manufacturer themselves and are best case scenarios. Realistically, the fuel economy for both of these bikes will vary on lots of factors, including how you ride it and the rider size. But if we use those claimed stats, you should have an estimated range of just over 400 Ks. To get a more accurate real-world usage, I normally knock off a quarter when doing these calculations, and find it is normally pretty close to what most people claim to actually be getting. So doing that, we get an estimated range of just over 300 Ks. The Rebel 500 is coming in with a measly 11.2 litre tank though, and they claim it will get 31.2 kilometers per litre. Using those numbers gives you an estimated range of around 350 Ks, and if we use our same trick of taking off a quarter, it gives us a real world range of around 260. I'll be honest, I'm not impressed with either of these two in this department. I know they've done it to try and keep the overall size down, but come on, especially with the Honda. Only 11 litres and it's still 14 kilos heavier? Kawasaki wins here, eliminating the Rebel 500 with its bigger tank to give you a better range. As for features, well, neither bike has a standout performance here either, both being a more bare bones and minimalist experience. The notable features on the newer Kawi include assistant slipper clutch, ABS, that ErgoFit design, LEDs, round LCD dash with smartphone connectivity, and that stylish new design. If you upgrade to the SE model, you will also be getting that eye-catching orange color scheme, headlight cowl, full leather seat, and a handlebar USB-C outlet. Kawasaki's beginner-oriented bikes are never jam-packed with features, rather having a focus on providing a high-quality fit and finish. The older Rebel is even more basic, with its features including assistant slipper clutch, ABS, LEDs, LCD display, and the bobber styling. Going for the S model also provides a headlight cowl and smokescreen, retro front fork covers and gaiters, and a diamond stitch seat. As we've said, Honda is due for an upgrade anytime now, and is giving you a basic set of tools to start out on. The Kawasaki does win again here, but I'll throw in the quick note that part of the appeal of the Honda is that the bare bones nature of the bike can be seen as a blank canvas. A lot of people like to mod and customize it to their liking, so while it is basic, it is well built too. Moving on, and we come to the final category, price. For a brand new Kawasaki Eliminator here in Oz, you're looking at a right-away price of $10,574 for the standard model, and if you want the SE, it'll cost you about $500 more at $11,089. Comparing that to a new Honda CMX Rebel 500, and you have a price of $10,465 for the normal, or $10,927 for the S. These guys have been around for ages too, so while they do hold their value quite well, there will be a big used market where you can pick one up for quite a lot cheaper. So let's answer the question once and for all. Who wins? Well, if you want a brand new bike, the Kawasaki is the clear choice. It's got pretty much the same power, is substantially lighter, has better brakes, bigger tank, and is better equipped. I'd even stretch it the extra $500 and get the SE as well. The orange paint in person makes it a really attractive little machine. However, if you don't want it new, you can get a used Rebel for a few grand less and still have a great beginner bike. They are popular for a reason. They are accessible and easy to use, have a great engine, and handle pretty well. If you can get over the smaller tank, they still make for an excellent first choice of motorcycle, and I think it's the one that more younger riders will realistically end up on. But there you have it guys, the Kawasaki Eliminator against the Honda Rebel 500. What are your thoughts? Do you have one, or are you looking to pick one up? Let's have a chat about it down in the comments below, and leave a suggestion while you're there for the next two bikes to go up against each other. Thanks for watching, and till next time, see ya!